Welcome back to JetKoa Sports. The NFL draft is over. The offseason is supposed to be quiet. And somehow ESPN is already talking about CJ Stroud's next mega contract. I actually did a whole video about that a few weeks back. And everyone is missing a big piece to that deal, at least in my eyes. And I am going to link my video in the show notes so y'all can take a look at what I had to say. But today, the real chaos is in the NBA and Major League Baseball. The Celtics just handed the Sixers a shot at a Game 7 and paid the price. The Knicks finally buried the Hawks, but might have walked straight into an Embiid Maxey buzzsaw. And out west, Wemby, Ant-Man, and LeBron are fighting for their lives while the Thunder look like a baby dynasty. And while all that's going on, the Cubs are suddenly leading the NL Central with half a pitching staff. The Braves and Yankees look like juggernauts, and the Tigers just watched their ace go down at the worst possible time. Let's get into it. Again, it's the NFL offseason, so I'm just going to link my video on CJ Stroud in the show notes. Y'all could please take a look at that and let me know how you feel about my take there. And I'm going to move straight into the NBA playoffs. The first round is over. The Pistons thoroughly dominated Orlando in Game 7 to squeeze past the Magic in round 1. Orlando immediately fired their coach, and that's probably the right move. They have talent, but they have not taken the steps forward the past couple of years, so it's probably time for a new message in that locker room. Suggs played with great intensity, but it waned throughout the series, and the Magic need more guys to play with that kind of effort that Jalen Suggs displayed. The Pistons said that the Magic forced them to look in the mirror. Well, duh. When you're the 1 seed and the 8 seed has you on the ropes and takes you to a Game 7, you obviously didn't have things going correctly. Not only are you playing down to their level, but you probably have some serious flaws of your own. As the defenses get better, the Pistons are going to be in trouble. Cade will get shut down more often, and the Pistons are going to need somebody to step up in his place. Jalen Duren, Duncan Robinson, and co. will need to really increase their offensive output. The Celtics gave the 76ers a chance to win Game 7, and the Sixers ran with it. Not having Tatum in the lineup was a huge blow for the Celtics. But I always knew if they gave the Sixers a Game 7 that the talent of the Sixers would be heavy. And I didn't think the Celtics would be able to pull it out in a Game 7. Again, missing Tatum is a big blow, and it could have put the Celtics up over the top in Game 7. But regardless, he didn't play. Celtics lost. And maybe a rivalry is actually forming now between the Sixers and Boston because the Sixers have actually won a series now. So hopefully that keeps getting heated in the years to come. I love a good rivalry. I think Joel Embiid and the referees were in Jaylen Brown's head. And as the leader of the Celtics, he cannot let that affect his game. And it looked like it did. And I know Brown was commenting on how Embiid likes to take dives. I saw Jaylen Brown take an extremely bad dive late in the fourth, too. So I don't know what he's talking about. I play soccer, and I play defense. So I'm very aware of what flopping looks like, and I absolutely hate it. There is no room in a men's sport for diving and flopping. Be better, y'all. And the Sixers now get the winner of the 3-6 matchup, which saw the Knicks finally send the Hawks home with 3 straight victories. The Knicks were the better team, and I had been saying that all along. But the Hawks showed everyone that they are on the rise. They have some crazy gifted athletes that are learning to score and play a team game. They may be a serious contender sooner rather than later. I also stressed that the Hawks' long athletic wings would tire the Knicks out, and it would come back to haunt New York later in the playoffs. And that might happen quickly. Now the Knicks have the Sixers, and they bring a lot of talent, and it seems they can match up with the Knicks in most areas. Cat will create mismatches all over the floor, but Joel Embiid does that exact same thing. Brunson can score at will, so can Tarik Maxey. Paul George can still defend, and the Knicks' perimeter D is pretty good. So I do think that's where New York has the advantage. The Knicks will need to slow down Maxey, Edgecombe, and PG, and just let Joel Embiid do his thing. I think that is going to be key. If their wings can shut down the Sixers' wings and outscore them, I think that's where the Knicks have their chance to win this series. I do feel it is a very hard series to predict, though, until we see the Knicks actually play a couple of games. If they keep up the team basketball that they've played the last 3 games of round 1, then they should win this series in 6 games. But if they get locked into isolation basketball, then the Sixers may squeak out another upset in Game 7. Moving on to the 4-5 matchup, the Cavs finally bounced the Raptors. This series turned out to be a good series. Going to a Game 7 that was tied at halftime of that Game 7. Ultimately, the Cavs pulled away and outscored the Raptors in the second half to clinch the series win. We should definitely watch this offseason because the Raptors may be the better team by next year's playoffs. The Cavs are going to have some shakeups. But this year, Donovan did enough, and Jarrett Allen was a beast on the boards to provide multiple second-chance opportunities for Cleveland. Harden was not great in Game 7, which is a bad trend for him over the years, but his 11 free throws made was about the difference in the game. Cleveland has shooters, so they may steal a couple games from Detroit, but I ultimately see the Pistons handling the Cavs, and it should take 6 games. Moving to the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder swept the Suns easily and are right where they are supposed to be, rested and preparing for the Lakers. The Spurs ousted the Blazers with the gentleman's sweep and should meet OKC in the conference finals. The Spurs were the superior team in that series and won Game 3 without Wemby. Harper coming off the bench to drop 29 points gave the Spurs another clutch time performer outside of Wemby, and that's going to help their team moving forward. When Wemby's on the bench or when Wemby gets double-teamed, triple-teamed, they're going to need another player that has the confidence to hit go-to buckets. And Harper is proven to be that guy. When Wemby is not on the court, the Spurs have a tendency to look very stale and get trapped in isolation basketball. And with Wemby's injury in Game 2, and then Game 3's kind of turnaround with Harper coming off the bench and dropping 29, I think the Spurs kind of found that. They found that answer to when Wemby is not on the court. The Blazers do have some exciting young pieces, and they will get Damian Lillard back next season. So hopefully Dame can alter his style of play a little bit to allow the young guys to continue their ascent. But I do like where the Blazers are going. Just not good enough to hang with the Spurs right now. I will break down the Spurs and Thunder's second round in a second, but I'm going to finish off the round 1 series in the West real quick. The Timberwolves were able to hold off the Nuggets without Anthony Edwards or DiVincenzo playing the final couple games. The Wolves' smothering D and offensive explosiveness just stunned the Nuggets. They really couldn't do much in response. And they carried that momentum throughout the series, even when the injuries started to pile up in Game 5. They needed to win Game 6, in my opinion, to prevent the Nuggets from gaining back confidence. And they did. Now the Wolves move to round 2 and get a healthy Spurs team, and they look to be in trouble. I do think Ant-Man is playing Game 1. That's what they've been saying all day today. So we'll see. But without him, the Wolves are in a lot of trouble. And even if he does come back right away in Game 1 or in the middle of the second round, he's going to be rusty. So Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, and Gobert need to hold it down and prove that they can win without him, or they're going to be in trouble. I feel ultimately that the all-around talent of the Spurs will be too much for a hobbled Wolves team. And this Wolves team, when healthy, could scare anybody in a 7-game series due to their team defense and Anthony Edwards' elite play. And in all honesty, it might have been the Wolves' best chance at a title before the Spurs are solidified as a top 2 NBA team, and Wemby and the fellow young cohorts, Castle, Harper, etc., earn their postseason stripes and are confident. Next year, the Wolves might be looking up at the Spurs and the Thunder with very little hope to surpass them in the West for the next 5 years. Bummer. Bummer for the Wolves. The Lakers send the Rockets home in 7. Without Durant, the Rockets were a young, skilled team without a go-to scorer. None of the young guys developed that clutch gene because they had Durant in those moments. And it showed when he went down. LeBron is also one of the greatest ever, so I ultimately felt he would elevate the Lakers above the Rockets' youth. Austin Reeves came back, and after the initial game, get-adjusted game, the Lakers now had the better squad too. And Game 7 was not all that competitive. Now the Lakers move on and get the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they might not have Luka this series either. Without Luka, the Lakers don't have a chance to score enough to beat the Thunder. LeBron, Reeves, and co. may be able to snag a game or two, but ultimately the Thunder will win this series. And it could be another sweep or gentleman's sweep. Kind of reminded me of an old Lakers team that once rolled through the entire postseason with 1 loss. But the Thunder will be tested in the conference finals and will not walk through the entire postseason like that fabled Lakers team. And this current Lakers team does not have the roster to hang with a truly deep and talented OKC. Very few teams do, if any. Round 2 officially has started now. Games kicked off at 7 p.m. tonight with Sixers-Knicks, followed by Spurs-Wolves. Moving to Major League Baseball. We're going to start with Tarik Skubal and the Detroit Tigers. He is headed to the IL with loose bodies in his elbow. He will have a surgery to clean out his elbow. No timeline has been given, but this type of injury usually takes 2 to 3 months to return from, putting his return kind of around the trade deadline. Detroit began today tied for first place in the AL Central. Will the Tigers be able to maintain that position heading towards the trade deadline? Or will they fall back from the pack? If they fall back, what can the Tigers get in a trade for an injured Tarik Skubal, the best pitcher in the American League? Definitely not as much as a healthy performing Skubal would warrant. It's a seriously tough blow for the Tigers season. And I do feel this will lead to the Tigers losing ground in the division. And the Tigers will ultimately trade an injured Skubal rather than keeping him for an extra draft pick if he signs as a free agent elsewhere. They could decide to bring Skubal back long term, but I think the fact that they offered him a very low arbitration number and lost that arbitration battle shows that they weren't going to bring him back. So I ultimately think they end up trading an injured Skubal at the trade deadline and get what they can for him. It's a bummer for all parties, but it's an interesting move by the Tigers because this was always one of the options. Moving to the power rankings, we got the Atlanta Braves in number 1 spot. Fantastic to see somebody at the top besides the LA Dodgers. And the Atlanta Braves absolutely deserve the 1 seed here. I covered them in depth last week, and I will link that video in the show notes as well. Atlanta's playing outstanding baseball, and they should get better when Spencer Strider, Raul Iglesias get back, and Acuna and Riley start hitting like they can. Like, the Braves should get better, and they have the best record in baseball right now. Coming in second, we have the Yankees. Pitching rotation remains to be top-notch, and the offense is coming into form. They are the class of the AL right now. And like the Braves, they should get better when Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon come back and Bellinger starts hitting like he can. Judge is already rounding into form. So the Yankees should get better. They need to stay away from that all-star break slump that they've gone into the past few years. The Dodgers still in the top 5. They're coming in at number 3. The bullpen is an issue, and they just lost 4 games in a week. So, yes, there's reason to be worried in LA. They will not lose 4 games in a row often this year, but with a weak and underperforming bullpen, there is cause for concern. And the Braves and Yankees are just cruising, so I believe the change in the top 5 is perfectly warranted. Coming in at number 4, we got the Cubs. They are playing inspired baseball and are now atop the NL Central. They swept a good Diamondbacks team over the weekend, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. Number 5, we got the Padres. I covered them earlier in the year, and they continue to play well in all phases of the game. I will link that video in the show notes as well if you want to go take a look. Padres should be here in the postseason, and if the rotation stays hot, then they will be a tough out. They got a sick bullpen, and they can hit. Watch out for the Padres. And Dodgers, if you don't clean up your bullpen, I'm saying you need to watch out for the Padres in the NL West. Coming at number 6, we got the Tampa Bay Rays. They may be doing their best under-the-radar job ever. And Caminero is an absolute stud that may hit 50 bombs this year. He hit 45 last year, and he increased his exit trajectory by like 6 degrees. He's going to be hitting more dingers. The Rays are followed by 4 NL Central teams to round out the top 10. The NL Central is going to be a muddy division. At number 7, we got the Reds. Pitching staff has held up so far with all the injuries, and they have offensive power needed to compete. Ellie, Sal Stewart, Nathaniel Lowe have anchored the lineup, and they may get a lot better as the pitchers come back and the rest of the lineup comes around. They have a few hitters that are not playing very well that normally do. And once they come back to form and they get some of their pitchers back, watch out for the Reds in the NL Central. Brewers coming in at number 8. They are a good team with a great front office. They're a bit like the Rays, right? We always think they're going to have some trouble, but they just call up prospects that play baseball, and they get the job done. I think it's going to happen again. The Brewers did just lose a couple pitchers, so we got to keep an eye on that because that is really what saved them. Their pitchers that they called up have been fantastic. Coming in at number 9, we got the Cardinals, which is absolutely surprising. They are involved in a rebuild right now, and the team looks to be coming into its own way earlier than I expected. Baseball rebounds can take a minute when you have a complete rebuild like the Cardinals are going through right now. We have seen quick rebounds from like the teams like the Yankees when they miss the playoffs and they go add a bunch of people and come back and win 95 games. But the Cardinals gutted their roster to get younger and get new talent in there. And that normally takes a handful of years to turn around. The Cardinals are making it seem easy right now. And the Cardinals being good is great for the game of baseball. So I'm all for it. And rounding out the top 10, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are my dark horse playoff team in the NL, and they're still hanging around. The NL Central is going to be brutal this year, so the Pirates really need to maintain a good divisional record to stay in the hunt, and I think they will be able to do that. Moving back to the number 4 team, the Cubs, let's kind of dive in here real quick. The Cubs now have a 2-game lead in the NL Central after sweeping the Arizona Diamondbacks over the weekend. Their offense is hitting, as a team, .261, which is 4th in Major League Baseball. They have an on-base percentage of .353, which is number 1 in baseball. They have a slugging percentage of .430, which is 5th in baseball. They have a .783 OPS, also 5th. They're 4th in home runs with 44 and 4th in RBIs with 169. They're 2nd in baseball with runs scored with 185. So they have a top-tier offense, pretty much top 5 in every single category. Fantastic. And they're coming through in a huge way. Horner showing why he is a top-tier second baseman that everybody seems to forget. He's got good defense and a quality bat. Ian Happ is still doing Ian Happ things. Suzuki is hitting the ball well and getting on base at a 400 clip. Matt Shaw is also providing the Cubs with good outfield at-bats. Moises Ballesteros is a stud. And pair him with the other catcher, Kelly, and their catcher position is arguably providing more than any other team's catchers in baseball right now. And a bunch of their hitters will get better. PCA, or Pete Crow Armstrong, Bregman, Bush, and Swanson should all contribute more to the offense when everything is said and done. They are all way below expectations right now. The Cubs' defense, all those hitters, they're about middle of the pack in terms of fielding percentage. So the defense is not terrible and it's not great. It's getting the job done. Moving to the pitching stats, and this is where I feel the Cubs are overperforming. The team ERA is 3.89, which is 11th in baseball. They have a 1.17 whip, 4th. 13 quality starts, that's top third of the league. 227 on base against. Fantastic. They are not letting people on base. And that is really what's keeping the Cubs at top of the NL Central. But I would think the metrics kind of point to them getting lucky in that regards. And that's why I think they are overperforming a little bit. And their pitching staff has been bombarded with injuries. They had 8 pitchers added to the IL in April alone. Starting pitcher Justin Steele is out until after the All-Star break. Maybe he can return to provide them with quality starts. Starting pitcher Cade Horton, out for the year, plus some. And he's not going to be able to help. They lost key bullpen pieces in Riley Martin, Caleb Thilber, Porter Hodge, Hunter Harvey, and Ethan Roberts. Can the healthy guys keep providing quality starts and playing above their heads? Do they have anyone coming back to jumpstart the rotation and or bullpen? These are all things we're going to have to see. I picked the Cubs to win the NL Central during spring training, and the team is playing well after a rough start. But ultimately, I do feel the injuries to the pitching staff will be a lot to overcome over the course of 162 games. The Cubs will need to trade for pitching at the deadline, and they're going to need more than one pitcher just to stay in the NL playoff race. I think the Central is going to be hard to hold down unless they really answer the pitching question. I don't talk hockey very often. I love hockey, and it's round 2 of the playoffs just started, so I'm going to go ahead and just touch here. In the West, we have the Avalanche versus the Wild and the Golden Knights versus the Ducks. In the East, we have the Sabres versus the Canadiens and the Hurricanes versus the Flyers. Again, I love hockey, but I do not know much about the game. I love watching it, but I couldn't break down and use any sort of hockey terms describing what they're doing out there. But I'm going to give you my picks anyways. I think the Avalanche beat the Wild. Golden Knights are beating the Ducks. Canadiens over the Sabres. And Hurricanes beat the Flyers. Quickly, like the Avalanche and the Carolina Hurricanes have not lost a game in the postseason yet. I think they win their series. The Canadiens, I really like, and I think they really want to bring some sort of hockey supremacy back to Canada. The United States just won the Olympics. That hurt Canada, and a Canadian team has not won the Stanley Cup in a while. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Canadians to move closer to making that a reality. And the Golden Knights, they're humming right now, and I'm becoming a big fan of the Vegas sports scene. So this is kind of a fanboy pick, but I'm going Golden Knights. I will kind of touch back on hockey just to let y'all know how things are playing out, but I will not be focusing on hockey with much in-depth coverage until I get a real hockey player next to me to break that down for us. Thanks for watching JetKoa Sports. Remember to subscribe so you do not miss my weekly takes. Some like it hot. Please comment if you would like to state your case on any of my takes, and have a great week, y'all.